we're going to be talking about environmental justice because you know what? I mean, we live in the environment, and I think it's pretty important to keep, your environment in a well state because then you'll live a pretty good life.
Yeah, definitely. I second that. We kind of lost touch with our natural side and started polluting the earth, and now we're left with a whole big mess to clean up.
Sorry. Sorry. Fuck. I
uh,
agree.
so yeah, when we talk about the environment, I think there's so much that goes into social justice because there's definitely parts of the world that are targeted more when it comes to deforestation, pollution, and things like that. Like Holyoke's a big example of what happens when people don't really fight back when there's big corporations coming in, and eventually we did fight back. We got the Mount Tom coal power plant shut down,
Oh,
which was a big win. Um, but yeah, the environmental issues that we're facing because of that still are really high. Like you can't just plant a garden in Holyoke because the soil is so toxic and has so much plastic in it that any produce that you make off of that garden is going to be possibly toxic to eat.
How do you know how to fix that or no?
Well, so over time, if you plant more plants, there's specific plants that do it better, but just planting plants and letting nature take back will eventually return the soil to its proper state. I mean, that's what so I work with neighbor to neighbor, and that's one of the things we do is bring new plants to areas and then try to bring the soil back to its original state.
that's cool because um my grandma gardens, but I don't think she uses the dirt there. And I remember playing in the dirt, and that dirt look definitely didn't look normal sometimes. But I mean, look at Holyoke. Holyoke was known as Paper City because the
Hmm.
amount of factories that were producing
The
paper
fact,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's so many canals and empty warehouses, and it's kind of taking up space.
All that space
Yeah.
we could definitely be used for green space. I mean, there's a lot of cities looking into how can we make old rundown buildings into green space. And there's great examples like in Chicago, they're making trees on the side of skyscrapers.
Mhm.
So it's just one big collection of trees going up. And I don't know, I think we need to think out of the box. What are new ways we can look at our area and say, how can I change this so I'm trying to change what's happening with global warming and climate change. I think the one of the big things people need to understand is yeah, we all need to do our part in changing. We have to stop using one time use things. Take a look at our packaging. How can we minimize packaging? But the big corporations do a lot of the polluting.
Mhm.
Like a private jet, um, I think a 30-mile private jet flight, you'll spend your carbon footprint's gonna match the average person's carbon footprint for a year.
Oh, wow.
So it's things like that where it's do we need private jets? What's the purpose of a private jet? But yeah, so individually we need to look at how can we change, but we also need to say, hey, the big corporations are the ones that need to change as well, not just.
Yeah, because they're the ones producing those one-time use things, and
Mhm.
they're kind of putting it in every their entire product line. So then it's just continuously spreading throughout. Look at the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. That thing
Mhm.
is literally the size of it. It's its own island. You can't you stand on it?
Yeah. You know about that, Elizabeth?
No, no.
So in the Pacific Ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, there's a giant patch of garbage about the size of Texas. And it's just floating there, and it's floating and it's accumulating trash, but also the fish and ocean life beneath that garbage island, all they're eating is those plastics. And then when they die, scientists have opened them up and it's just filled with plastic. Like the plastic rings on the top of water
Mhm.
bottles. Water bottles are in there, just a whole bunch of different things. And it's that's so unnatural, and that's all because of humans just disregarding our waste.
I actually read an article like a year or two ago, and this I think I'm not 100% sure, but they use there's a place that uses pollution and they use it as a form of electricity or energy. So I think we should have that in the United States. I don't know if they do though. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about.
Like renewable energy.
Like new ways to create stuff. Because like I've heard of like a breakthrough in terms of like tomahawk reactors. Do
I
you guys know?
didn't. You said
No?
tomahawk, and I
I
had
think
no
it's
idea what you were talking
or
about.
tomahawk reactors. Basically, what that is just heating up so like plasma. It's creating plasma to have like kind of like the same effect that the sun has.
That's pretty crazy. I actually spoke at a protest at ISO New England. I was the first speaker. And the whole goal was to try to pressure ISO New England, which is New England's energy provider. It
Mhm.
provides energy for all the New England states. They still have some coal power plants open, and so the whole point was to try to pressure them into try to look at new ways to create energy. And actually, that protest got Ed Markey to come to Holyoke and speak at ISO New England.
Oh
So
crap!
that was my first big action, and like I that was just like my first action really.
Mm.
And I think we all need to like look into how can I individually help, you know.
Hmm.
Is this what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that's the one I'm talking about.
So scientists from the University of Antwerp and University of Leuven in Belgium have an innovative new solution to pollution. They have developed a device that filters polluted air and through the process produces energy. This device is a two-roomed chemical cell,
Photoelectrochemical
photoelectrical.
cell.
So yeah, I mean, if this works and it like doesn't add to the pollution that we're seeing, I say it's one of the things that like we just need to start trying new things. There's a lot of we need energy and
So I have a question for you guys. What's you guys' opinion on nuclear energy?
nuclear.
Yeah.
To be honest, I have no opinion. Like I don't really know what it is. I know. I think I know it from the Flash. That's it. That's all I know.
Do you want to explain nuclear energy for
Uh,
Elizabeth?
so basically, nuclear energy is basically heating up this highly reactive metal and just making it hot to boil water that spins a turbine. So that's like how like most like things work. That's like why coal plants and gas like to create electricity. You just need some steam. You just need that hot air moving
Like
fast.
trains.
Yeah, like
Okay.
trains.
Okay.
So that's how like most like that's why we burn like coal and gas and stuff like that. But like there's other ways to do it. Like for example, nuclear reactors, which takes like stuff that you would put in a nuke, which is just highly reactive metals, and you do it in a controlled manner. I mean, there has been like incidences like Chernobyl, where safety procedures weren't followed correctly, and you do have incidents that are bad. But like overall, nuclear energy, like modern nuclear energy, is really good. Like it's really safe too. Plus, there's even more study into the type of fuel. Like there's this element called thorium, and it's I think a liquid. I'm not sure like that's what it is, like a liquid fuel, but basically it's safer than any of the other nuclear fuels, and like they have a safety like an emergency stop procedure that will like prevent it from causing major damage in areas next to it. And actually, that's the wait, what is that? Pretty sure that's a
That's
tomahawk. That's a tomahawk. Yeah, it's a tomahawk one. Dude, that thing is crazy. It creates like a donut of like pure like plasma.
so basically what this says is like if nuclear energy is done right, it
Mhm.
could be the most efficient energy source that is available to us at the current moment.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like there's other sources that we also should be looking at. We shouldn't just go with like nuclear energy because it
Well,
is
yeah.
easy and uranium's like an available resource. And like the science is coming out more and more about like more effective ways to doing it. But I feel like we need to look at different ways to uh get energy. So this is an inventor of water-powered car died screaming they poisoned.
I really think the
Oh,
government
yeah.
has something to do. Like they say they died, but they definitely killed them. That's what I think
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
the coincidences of like some people just inventing or creating something
Like,
and then disappearing.
Like
Wasn't there somebody who
recently?
created a car and that can be powered on water or
This guy
whatever?
right here. He was at a restaurant. They said he ran out screaming. They poisoned him. He died. Yeah, this dude right here. He
Oh,
figured out how to, turn water into fuel.
and supposedly he died,
His
and
family says he was murdered. The government says he died from an aneurysm.
I think there was another dude who also supposedly created cancer, and
Created cancer.
I mean,
Like
created,
a cure
cured
for
cancer.
cancer.
That's what I meant. Sorry, cured cancer, and then, yeah, then he died.
Then
Yeah,
you
I've seen
had,
this.
so when you talk about finding a resolve for pollution,
Hmm.
in order to do that, and I want to get in your conversation. Typically, in order to do that, you're going against the major corporate entities because somebody's going to lose out on billions of dollars based on the invention. Of the 10 victims that were murdered in Buffalo recently, the security guard, the retired police officer who died, he also invented a device that converts water into fuel to run cars.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's weird.
So they're saying it's completely unrelated to the murder, but it's like they just happen to pick that story.
If it, like if it walks like a dog.
It's not getting into conspiracy theories, but it's just kind of like, how ironic. He happens to work there. He was one of the people targeted. He's dead. He invented, he created a truck that runs off of water.
And like, yeah, that's like the big issue with like trying to create new solutions. It's like these big corporations kind of really like are so greedy. Like they'll do whatever it takes to keep their money.
One of the craziest things I learned is, you guys remember when the whole paper straw thing came out and like everyone switched to paper straws instead of metal straws?
Yeah.
That was actually oil companies who started that. And their whole thing was like, no one's looking at oil companies anymore. They're all looking at who's using paper straws still. So we all got distracted by paper straws and we all stopped paying attention to the real issue, which was they're mining for oil in the ocean and like destroying our ocean life for money.
Yeah, no, like how many oil spills have happened like throughout the years, like where it's like a massive like issue.
I mean, there's been a lot. And like oil spill cover up, and I don't mean like actually like covering up the oil spill, but like
I'm talking about like covering up like the story.
yeah, that happens so much.
And then like also like hasn't there been incidences where like it's set on fire? Like there's been like oil like fires on the water.
Yeah, that's a horrible thing that happened. But since 1969, in California, there have been at least 44 oil spills, each carrying over 10,000 barrels of oil.
Do you guys remember that whole incident, the forest fire caused by a baby shower?
Oh yeah.
It's like there was this big fire that was caused just by a baby shower.
It was like a gender reveal, and they were using like flares or something, and there was a giant California forest fire that was a result of that. What's that? And then I could.
Oh yeah. And I just got an article in front of me. Hello Africa, future Ghanaian innovator develops affordable houses from recycled plastic waste. So yeah, no, I think I've seen this too, like where they use like mud or like a type of cement, and they take plastics and stuff and like kind of just put it together, and like they keep stacking it. And like also I've heard of like 3D printed houses too. Like
3D printing houses.
yeah, with cement too. Like that's also like the thing is, and then on top of that, you want to know like back to like when we were talking about the abandoned like warehouses and like plants in Holyoke,
yeah.
What is the plan for those? Because like I've had this idea of like making them into like kind of like affordable housing, since Holyoke is such a like a small
So
population dense city.
Joshua Garcia, the current mayor of Holyoke, ran on the idea that those spaces were going to be turned into green spaces and new affordable living spaces. Not much has happened on that, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, but my hope is that those get turned into green spaces and affordable living spaces, like you said.
They would need to find a private developer to make that happen, because the city's not in the business of actually creating housing or creating opportunities for low-income housing to be built.
I have a question. Since you work with neighbor to neighbor, what are some ways that the community itself can help like at least decrease pollution a little bit?
So actually that's one of the things I'm currently working on is a waste campaign for Holyoke. And that's one of the things like we're kind of stuck on. Like how can an everyday Holyoke person like, start working on pollution without like taking money or time out of their day? One of the big things is just making sure your trash goes where it's supposed to go. So like, if you have recyclables and if you have the facilities to recycle, you definitely should recycle. Recycling definitely isn't like proven to like recycling is a big loophole where like yeah it works but it has to be done right to work.
Mhm.
Another thing is like make sure like you're not contributing to like the trash on the outside. That's one of the biggest things we're working with.
Funny enough, like I've like been like walking like to my bus stop, and every morning, like sometimes like I occasionally see trash and like
I see trash
everywhere.
I don't know how trash even gets in front of my front yard,
Well,
but
so
it's because of wind.
yeah, the
actually.
wind
Yeah.
just pulls it that way.
But
When pull the trash from garbage can.
No,
Well,
well,
so
when
in
other people throw it.
littering.
in Holyoke, one of the big things is garbage cans like overfull because no one's coming to uh dump them, or people are like illegally dumping into waste bins and trash bins. So like they're overfilled, and then the wind comes and like all the trash just gets swept out of the bucket.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Because I see it like sometimes like you just see like a plastic bag just like a tumbleweed just blowing in the wind, and
For
How many times have you seen people walking down the street or driving and just, they're driving the
Just
car,
throw
go down the
something
road,
out.
and you see all
Throw
this
them.
trash fly out.
Yeah.
Or they're walking, it's like at a friend's house in Mason Square, and you're standing out there talking to them, you see people walking, the kids, adults, walking from a store or something, and they're eating stuff, and they just
Mhm.
just throw it in the yard and just throw it wherever they're at.
I just usually put it in my pocket and like wait till I get home.
Which makes sense. It's like,
Yeah.
unless you happen to see public waste baskets.
Yeah. And like that's another thing is there's not like a lot of access like in terms of like the public like to throw trash away. Like some like in some places like specifically like kind of like Northampton like you see them a little more often, but like in terms of like Holyoke and Springfield, I barely see them.
Really see what?
Trash, bro.
Like
Trash
like
receptacles in public spaces,
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
In Holyoke, you need to request that there be a trash bin placed in like front of your house, and then like they do like this whole process and paperwork, and then you might get one. But I think, like for me personally, I think one of the big things that needs to happen is to like pressure our lawmakers and legislators and the people in power to like keep up on programs like the DPW
Mhm.
and waste management to make sure like they're actually doing their job, because we are paying you to keep our cities clean. And I know in Holyoke they're not keeping up to their job description. They're not like emptying the waste baskets. They're not like going out on the street and doing their job. So that's one of the things like as individuals we can always do.
like I know like at my house like I have two bins. I have like a reddish no, is green bin and a blue bin, I think.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, you live in
Springfield?
Springfield,
Yeah.
so
Green and
green.
blue.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. But yeah, it was in Westfield that was like that reddish brown. Didn't like it. But like
I
yeah,
don't.
Wait, I have a question. Why does like some places in Chicopee, their
The small
trash,
bins?
they're smaller?
So the point of that is to limit your trash waste. So the idea is you have a smaller bucket, so you're gonna try to make less trash every day, and like weekly, your trash output's gonna be less if you have a smaller basket.
But do you think that's helpful?
Yeah, you're right.
Uh,
Same thing I was gonna ask.
do you think that's helpful? Because like, wouldn't it like overfill and then like
Yeah, what most people did is just bought a second barrel
Yeah.
because like yeah we should try our best to limit it, but at the end of the day we make waste and we can't live in the trash, so we have to throw it out. It has to go somewhere, but we have to make sure it's not going and just sitting into a landfill. It needs to be properly disposed of. If you have recyclables, make sure it's going into the recycling.
If we have third world countries, well, I shouldn't call Ghana a third world country. If you have Ghanaians who can come up with ways of taking plastic to create affordable housing and a sustainable housing, long term, viable, withstands the elements. Why can't we do the same thing in America with plastic?
Because they're greedy. They want money.
GREED.
Greed.
To some degree. It's some degree greed, and then
Mhm.
there's also some degree like the rules. Some rules like don't allow you to make something like that because like it's not OSHA like it's not
So who makes the rules?
the government or the people are supposed to
I
make
think
the
the
rules, but the
last thing
government.
that they
I'm sorry,
want
say
is
that
to
again.
make stuff
The people are
affordable.
supposed to make the rules, but the government does.
Right, but the government is not like this. It's not this. The government is not an entity. The government is comprised of people.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's this big purplish green ugly monster somewhere that just tells
Did you
everybody
just
what to
describe
do.
Barney?
I did. So that's so when we say, well, the government, it's almost like saying, okay, I'm going to excuse myself of responsibility. I'm not going to hold anyone accountable. We have who's our congressman for this
Ed
congressional district?
Markey.
No, he's a senator.
Oh,
He's our senator. Who's our congressman?
Elizabeth Warren?
no, that's also a
She's also our
senator.
senator. We have
Oh,
two
that's right.
senators
That's
and a
right.
congressman.
Well, I need to do some reading.
Richard Neal.
I knew that.
So he represents us down in the House, down in the House down in DC. So it's kind of like, how often do we contact him about simple things like recycling alternatives? That's what he's supposed to do. People act as if he's off limits. We can't talk to him. We treat him like he's a celebrity.
Mhm.
When the reality is, if he's no different than your family hiring an attorney. You vote for him. He goes down to DC. He's supposed to speak for the people. How often do we, share these concerns with him? Next year, maybe you guys should send him a letter and send him to come. He represents your district.
Mhm.
Sit him down and have a conversation with him. I mean, no one
Yeah.
ever does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely, we should. It's a good topic of conversation as well because this is pretty important to our community. Like, honestly, I would like to see a cleaner community because like a sense of cleanliness sometimes honestly feels better. Like when my room gets a mess and I clean it, like my mental state, I'm not gonna lie, gets better. Like I start to feel happier and stuff. Like my room's clean, it's spotless. So I feel like together as a community, if we work together, it could be like kind of a way to unite as well as everybody getting happier.
Yeah. So you just brought up like the mental aspect of waste and trash. Like if you live in a clean neighborhood, you're definitely gonna have more self-confidence and like a better mental state than if you're living in a quote unquote dirty place. And in Holyoke, you see this thing where people internalized it and Holyoke has now become like the dirty city. Where if you go there, it's not um like a filthy trash place. There's like some trash and you could definitely spot it out if you're trying to look for it. But there's this perception that Holyoke is dirty because the waste management has failed the city and because like things that are outside of individuals' hands, now they have to live as like dirty Holyoke members.
Is it really outside their hands, or are we excusing the people of any responsibility or accountability again?
Well, it's in their hands, but like when it comes to like students, like
Students,
Yeah.
have parents, though, right? Or
Yeah.
guardians.
yeah,
So again, once a kid is 10 years old, 10, 11, it's like you have enough common sense to figure out the same way he did when he was walking to the bus stop. You see trash on the ground, it's just barrel. What do?
You grab it and you
pick it up.
go. Yeah.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist. So again, it goes back to what Alex was like. One second, we say the government. That's just a weak excuse so that we don't have to accept any responsibility. If I'm wrong, push back.
Also,
well, there's
no,
only
Daryl.
so much. Oh,
I was gonna say, Daryl, like, doesn't like this like city of Springfield like own like 6 feet in like your yard?
It's your yard, but
Yeah,
they have access.
yeah,
They're
6 feet.
allowed access.
So like, because like there's some areas where I know like, for example, like when I'm walking down, like they have a fence and then there's just like a giant gap like of just space. So like I don't understand like why can't you just place like I know it seems a little random to have in a neighborhood, but like a trash there or like a little area like a sidewalk area.
If there's a sidewalk, go ahead.
I mean, like, wait, you're talking about like a fence and then like your yard and to have a trash there?
Well, no, like okay, so
Ah.
like it's no, it's not like in their yard. It's outside of. So like they have the
Ah.
fence. So it's like that extra space. Like it's from their fence to the curb.
It's
Oh,
interesting.
okay. I was about
The
to
streets
say.
that have yards that come directly to the curb, people in the city have access. I forgot what they call that space. with no sidewalk, there's no sidewalk.
Yeah.
Those streets tend to be a little cleaner because people will go out there and they'll maintain it. You drop
Yeah.
trash out there, they'll pick it up.
Mhm.
When they have sidewalks, like in some of the inner city areas.
Mhm.
I hate saying inner city because there's really no such thing. But when you have neighborhoods that are down there are sidewalks everywhere, it's kind of like, yeah, you should be able to put a trash receptacle there.
Yeah.
But who asked for them? We have neighborhood councils that are probably as effective as a broken cell phone. So the people, if you live in a neighborhood and you're tired of seeing trash on your streets, the people should organize around that.
Yeah.
If I don't know, if there's a factory and it's emitting all types of pollution and you and your kids have to inhale that, you have to do something about that. And the last thing we should be saying is, well, city government won't do it. The federal government won't do it. Make it happen. Make it happen. Because you're right, when you talk about a cluttered room, it's unhealthy. If your room, your car, and everything is cluttered, then that means everything upstairs, in terms of your intellect, but everything is cluttered.
Yeah.
If you live in a neighborhood where there's trash, there's garbage, and no one seems to care, imagine if it impacts us in a negative capacity, what happens to little kids? Mental health, physical health, everything is impacted. If you have asthma and you're in a neighborhood where there's trash and garbage everywhere, it's going to impact you. So what do we do about it?
We fight back. We say what we want. We get our point across because as a democracy, we the people we vote for who we want. So we have to put in position of power somebody who knows what we want.
Well, one thing we can do is try to convince our parents to.
Not even that. Take it in our own hands, create our own organizations.
Well, yeah,
like we said,
so
join
I
us.
was gonna say, in places like neighbor to neighbor, we pressure lawmakers to do their part, but we just get out there and do it. One of the things that I'm organizing is to try to pick up as much trash as we can in Holyoke and then gathering it and say this is what we took on one street. This was one street. If everyone on that street just went out and did that, it could be done in 10 minutes. And Holyoke would all be clean if everyone just went out and did that real quick, 10 minutes. But no one, I go to people's doors when we talk, and it's they know it's an issue, but it's I'm not gonna take those steps to fix that issue.
So we have to find a way to motivate people to want to do this.
I mean,
that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I think also making people understand you don't need a free day and all these resources to do something. You can just spend 20 minutes out doing something.
Yeah, you can just grab a pointy stick and a basket and just stab the trash and throw it in.
What are the expectations in the neighborhoods? I mean, what are the expectations when you're knocking on the door in Springfield, Holyoke, Chicopee? Doesn't matter where you go. What are the expectations? I mean, because we live in neighborhoods that are predominantly Black or Latino, is supposed to be cluttered and crappy, and trash everywhere.
Inside the house?
No, I'm talking inside, outside. It doesn't matter in the neighborhood.
It's not supposed to be.
Talk about neighborhoods. We call our neighborhoods hoods.
Yeah, I remember.
What does a hood
Okay,
look like? Go ahead.
so my best friend has this cousin who came from. She lives in the rich side of I think it's Westfield. I don't know.
The rich side of Westfield is rich.
And
I've
she
been
lives
there.
in that bougie neighborhood, and she just came to our neighborhood, and she started calling it ghetto. She started calling it literally just he was a crackhead, but he wasn't gonna do anything to her. He was just trying to cross the street, and she got so scared. I'm just shorty, chillax.
I had
It's not gonna do anything to you, bro.
I had 3 friends at Chicopee Comp who wouldn't come to my house because it was in Springfield. 2 of their parents wouldn't let them, and one kid was like, "No, I'm not going to Springfield." And I was like, "You live in the city next to it. I'm more scared of Chicopee than I am of Springfield." But yeah, people have these perceptions of oh, Springfield's a dangerous place. Holyoke's dirty.
There was a shooting in my street a week ago.
Which is why it's typically when these conversations I had, we always make reference to people who live outside of our neighborhoods. I mean, who really cares what they think?
Mhm.
When I talk about, what are the expectations, that has nothing to do with what, outsiders think. The question is, what do we think in our neighborhoods?
Listen,
I think it's fun.
you knock on my grandma's door. That house is clean and spotless. You knock on my for my parents, their expectation is clean.
Okay.
That's what it is. But the issue is I'm not gonna lie, you knock on my mom's door, the house isn't gonna be clean, but it's because she's practically a single mom,
With a
degenerate.
17-year-old son who's
No, I don't live with my
healthy.
mom.
Oh, okay.
And then she just has
Same,
my
twins.
15-year-old brother, my 4-year-old sister, and my 12-year-old brother.
Okay.
So like that's why 9 times out of 10 of the mess. 4-year-old sister. Jesus, I can't with her sometimes. But at my dad's house, my dad's has been very strict on me in terms of my room being clean and just me being clean in general because growing up that's how he raised me.
Okay. But it still doesn't excuse, the
Yeah.
neighborhood. I mean, like when you say it's fun, tell me about it. The neighborhood's kind of jacked up, but it's fun. Does that
It's
make it
fun
okay?
because you can get along with your neighbors. You can they play music. You can hear the parties going on. There's trampolines. My neighbors has a pool over there, so sometimes we join.
Okay.
You just get along with the neighbors. I feel like that makes the neighbors the neighborhood fun is when you
So-
get along with the people there.
So the trash on the streets and everything, the poor recycling responsibility, not really recycling responsibly, all that stuff is irrelevant as long as you're having fun.
No, it's not. It's
No, I'm
not.
just
That's not
asking
what
the
I'm trying to
question.
say.
I'm just looking for clarity. Go ahead.
That's not what I was trying to say. I was just saying my neighborhood's fine.
Okay.
But we should do pick up our trash.
Right, and that's what I mean by expectations. I think it really begins with young people. I think you guys alluded to it earlier. You guys can do it. There's never been a social movement in this country that was not led by young people. It's always high school students. You guys hit a certain age, you're cognizant to the point you see what's right and you see what's wrong, and you either fix it or you don't. If you go along with it, not putting you on the spot just because it's fun or it seems cool or it seems socially acceptable to the people who live there, that doesn't make it cool. When you sitting there watching people throw trash, literally throwing trash out the window, it tells you what they think of themselves and what they think of you. But we worry about folks who come from the affluent neighborhoods. We always worry about what they think. My friends from Wilbraham, oh my God, they're scared to come here. I don't care, don't come.
Mhm.
But my friends who live next door or one street over, it's like, yo, bro, when you come to my house, you got to pick up your trash. Or my mom wants you to take your shoes off when you walk through that door.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hey, don't throw that down here. We live here. It's like we have to set standards and make sure we keep it up. It's like coming to the school when Gil Traverso took over Paulo. He's like, I don't want to hear I'm the person of color. No, me. No, I don't want to hear you whining enough. He says, I'm Puerto Rican just like everybody else. I don't want to hear it.
Mhm.
There are expectations, there are standards, and you got to live up to them. So in our neighborhoods, we can have inner city neighborhoods in Holyoke look better than suburban neighborhoods in Wilbraham. Because it's really on us. Are we afforded the same income opportunities? Then it goes down. We talk about recycling, trash, and all that stuff. You can't have that conversation without talking about, income. People in Long Meadow, Wilbraham, Hamden, by virtue of white privilege, they're going to have opportunities.
Yeah.
Jobs right off the cuff, 65,000 and up. Whereas we struggle, 2-parent households making about a combined 45, 50,000. But it doesn't mean that we can't claim. It doesn't mean that we can't have high expectations for our neighborhoods.
Mhm.
So why can't we get the recyclable bricks, the recycled plastic turned into bricks? Why can't we build houses with recycled goods? What's the excuse?
There is none.
I don't have any answers. I'm just asking questions. I don't. You guys know more about it than I do.
Honestly, I wouldn't say there is an excuse because if it's proven and tested to work, then why aren't we using it? If it's honestly more affordable, it's reusing that's a big deal, and it's recycling. It's recycling. It's what we need, and I don't understand why we're not jumping on it. Why we don't want it.
We have people who invent cars that can run on water. Why are we not questioning that in mass every time one of these inventors go missing or dies suspiciously?
I mean, I do question it sometimes, but then, I'm gonna be honest, I just forget about it.
Right.
Just move on with my life. I guess, things can be done, but I guess some people are too scared. That can be a
So-
reason why.
So you drive, you have a car, right?
Yes.
So you hear about a man getting shot in a supermarket down in Buffalo. Random. Someone drives 2 hours just to shoot up a supermarket in Buffalo, New York.
Mhm.
That doesn't sound weird.
Say that again.
Does that sound a little crazy, a little off-putting? Like, why would you drive 2 hours to go to a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, to murder people? And then you find out that one of the people murdered is the same guy who is one of the same people who invented a car that runs off of water.
Same guy who surrendered and got arrested, right? Same guy who did he get one case of first
One
degree and that was
case.
it?
Yeah.
He got one case of first degree murder.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mhm,
In Buffalo?
that's it.
Yeah.
The Buffalo shooter
What do you
got
mean
one case.
One case
Like-
of first degree murder.
So the trial was quick over. No
Yeah.
one gets
No,
a.
they couldn't have gone to trial already.
Yeah.
From Buffalo?
Yeah.
There's no way. He just murdered. It just happened a couple weeks ago.
Speedy
He didn't go
trial.
to trial yet. No way.
Oh wait, get more time. So wait, maybe not.
This was
Nah,
3
that's
weeks
his-
ago.
That's his arraignment. He was held without bail. Yeah, it's not the trial. That's the bail. That's the bail hearing.
I was gonna say, wouldn't they televise it?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I don't know. They didn't televise the guy who shot the church a few years back in South Carolina. You know, when he went to court. They didn't really say much about it. Yeah, they get more time to build the case. I don't know why they would need more time to build the case unless they're really going for some super high charges.
He gets it, and it's so funny because there's a video like it get like
Yeah.
the
What
process
is?
of the court of law, but like
Yeah. Like there's due process, but this guy streamed himself running in and
Yeah.
shooting these people.
it was a
Well,
live
well,
event.
What's bigger? The fact that he murdered a man who invented a car, a truck, or a car he created a car that can run off water. Or the fact that he did what Americans do. He went in there, he killed 10 people. What's more important? What's more significant? What stands out?
The 10 people.
Really?
I think
That's what.
Every time I go to the gas
That's what all they
station-
talk about. They never talked about how.
No, I'm
there's
talking
a
what's
co-
more significant to you.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
care about the news. They
Oh.
read scripts.
Oh, my bad.
You
My
guys
bad.
are unscripted. You guys can say whatever you want.
Oh, then the
So
water.
you drive, you have a car. How much you pay for gas?
It's 70 to fill up my tanks every
I'm
4
sorry, say it
days.
again.
70 to fill up my tank every like 4 days.
Right.
Like 70, 80, from what I've heard, it's like what
Yeah.
people are paying.
10 counts
Okay.
of first.
So
degree.
80 for me to fill up my tank, it's like $85. Easy, 85 to 90 always. So we have people who are inventing vehicles just based on what I read online. So folks have to do the research for themselves. They're inventing vehicles that run on water. Nobody cares that this is the second person who has died suspiciously. Inventing a vehicle
I care.
that runs on water.
See, I didn't know that he killed a person who so created a vehicle that runs on water.
Hey, Gil.
Oh, hi, Gil.
Just so you know, we're live.
We're live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about pollution, and we're talking about we're talking about pollution. Did you know that one of the gentlemen killed in Buffalo actually invented a vehicle, invented a device on his truck that allowed his truck to run on water?
No way.
Yeah, the retired police officer who was killed. Well, he invented a truck. He was on the news about 2-3 years ago, and he just finished a patent. So he was one of the victims targeted in the supermarket. So I'm asking them, what's more significant, the fact that 10 people were murdered in the supermarket, or that one of the people coincidentally happens to be a gentleman who invented a device that will enable his vehicle to run on water? Why doesn't that concern us when we hear about this is the second person who has died suspiciously after inventing a car that runs on water? Me, I'm always borderline broke. So I need a car that runs
On
on
water.
water. I can get water from anywhere.
I mean, you like I've also seen like swamp water emits like methane gas,
Mhm.
and like people have like it's hard, but like you just like collect it for like let something sit for hours and you collect methane gas, and they made a bike out of it.
So I have a bog in my backyard in Springfield. I live in the middle of the conservation. I'm down off of Boston Road. I have a bog back there. So you're talking about swamp water, that's still water that just sits there,
Mhm.
right? I purchased a vehicle. I crank it up with gas, but then it just flips right over the water. How much money do I save?
I'm
$80 to $90.
Over the course of the year, probably close to about good $20,000-$30,000, depending on how much I travel. Now, if you look at inner city communities, and I hate saying inner city communities, but if you look at Black and brown communities, first of all, we're like the lowest paid. We're the bottom of the barrel. You know how much money we could save if we had a vehicle?
How much pollution?
How much pollution we can? Oh my!
Everybody would be
God,
middle
avoid.
class.
So, but why don't we question that? We look at the atrocity, but we don't look at, okay, could this be a possible reason for the atrocity? Are we questioning? Are we really watching the news and thinking analytically and reading between the lines and questioning everything?
That was a hit.
I'm not saying it's a hit. I'm saying, are we questioning that as Americans?
No, honestly, I didn't even realize.
I mean,
Wow.
like, I do cry every time I have to put gas in my car. But, nah, I
Me
don't
too.
really cry.
No, it's
Oh,
okay. I
oh
filled
my-
up the other day.
Like,
I'm like, how
half
can I
of my
avoid this?
paycheck goes into my car.
Yeah,
I
you have to
want to
stop
cry.
spending money on sunglasses.
These are McDonald's sponsors. McDonald's sponsor, you know? By the way, McDonald's will sponsor me and give me more sunglasses, but in different colors. Different colors.
Like the
So-
Ray-Bans.
As we talk about pollution, there have been so many people who have found creative ways of avoiding the pollution that we're making. What typically happens to the people who create inventions to help us to avoid creating
die.
all this
Mysteriously.
Something mysterious always happens, but when do we learn to question that? So as we talk about government, we are the government, right?
We the people.
Right. But if all we want to do is grow up and go and defend a government that we can't even define or identify, where's the problem? Or we have people who are like, street soldiers, he's a social justice advocate. He just, social justice folks tend to be distractions because they also help to convince all of us that we are in need of someone else to come in and save us.
Mm-hmm.
They focus on the obvious, but we never get down to the root cause. I have a friend in Boston, Michael Bonds. He doesn't call folks, the work that you guys do, no disrespect. He calls them act as ifs because they're not getting down to the root cause. What they're doing is they really challenge issues that are like the distractions, number one. They're so daggone obvious that it's kind of like those are preventative things. If we get down to the root cause, we don't have to worry about all this stuff. Why lobby for housing and only housing, but you don't want to lobby for equity so that everybody's making the same amount of money, so that everybody's quality of life goes up. Quality of life go up if you are eligible for employment or job creation opportunities, where you can compete with white folks who live in Wilbraham, Munson, Palmer. We don't have to talk about housing anymore. But they talk about housing and they say, all of our people, they're suffering, they're neglected, they need housing. Okay, so we get them housing, but we're still not creating opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So are you an act as if, or are you going to be an activist? And I asked the question because this is Paulo Freire Charter School for Social Justice.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we say we're going to be social justice advocates if we're talking about pollution? We know there's a big huge island drifting in the middle of an ocean somewhere. Everybody heard about it, but no one cares enough to do anything about it. We know what's causing it, and we know there are alternatives to everything that they're doing. We have Monsanto right around the corner. So as we talk about pollution, we have Monsanto right around the corner. As we talk about food apartheid and just all this unhealthy stuff.
Wait, isn't there a new food bank
We have
though?
Monsanto right around the corner, huh?
What's my sound?
Isn't there a new food bank though? Or like
Huh?
something big just happened in terms of food equity in Western Mass.
What happened?
I don't remember what happened specifically, but I did remember hearing something about it because I was listening to, I think, Spotify and an ad came on, something like that.
I don't know. You now have an assignment. The next time we meet,
I have to find it.
you bring back the answer. So, again, I'm not
Go to news.
trying to tell you guys anything. It's up to you. You take this information, chop it up. If I'm wrong, come back, tell me I'm wrong, but push back. Push back. All right. So we're alive.
So it looks like there's
we
a-
are with students.
this what
For
you're
those who are
talking
just
about?
tuning in, we're at the Paulo Freire School of Social Justice. Reintroduce yourself to anybody who may be watching.
Hey everyone, I'm Tyler. I'm a 11th grader here at Paulo. I'm the social justice panel president, and I'm also a member of the podcast team here.
Hi, I'm Alex. I am also an 11th grader. I am the
Lame.
quirky one and the funny one.
Funny is subjective. Elizabeth?
I don't know about funny, but
All right.
But I'm Elizabeth, and I'm a junior. That's it.
That's it.
And I wear my sunglasses.
And I wear my sunglasses
inside.
inside and at nighttime.
So where else you guys got to go with pollution? What else you guys want to talk about?
Me and Alex brought it up before the podcast started. Just currently, bees were
Oh.
classified as fish in California, and what that does is it gives them like the same legal protection that fish does. And why they're doing that is because bees are like super endangered in their numbers.
In California, yeah, because
Well-
because I know there's like 4 species of bees that are endangered, and that's why like they kind of prompted this.
The 4 bumblebees to be reclassified are the crotch, Franklin, Cuckley, cuckoo, and the western bumblebee. So there's 4 different species of bumblebees, right, which are highly listed as highly endangered. More than 28% of North American bumblebees are at risk of extinction, according to the Xerces Society for Invertebrate Conservation.
But like personally, it's not just bees, it's the idea that like we're losing whole species daily.
Oh yeah,
Like I don't know what the number is, but it's pretty big.
Hasn't it been like that since the beginning of time? I mean, we lost the dinosaurs.
Yeah, we lost the dinosaurs, but not every day due to climate changing
We did lose the
causes.
dinosaurs due to climate change, didn't we?
But didn't we lose
Well,
them
yeah,
to an
they're-
asteroid, and then the asteroid caused dust, and then dust, no sunlight killed the
Climate
animal.
changed.
If you were to say one sentence about the kids in the school at the graduation, what would it be?
Incredibly phenomenal. These scholars are exceptional, and they're going to change the world.
Hakuna Matata. I've been saying that randomly lately.
Are
It's
you going to
funny.
a graduation?
I might.
My manager just told me to come into work. I'm gonna say no.
Hello. So you going to work today?
Hell no.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're live. Let's say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is so cool.
Thank you.
I love it. So what are you guys talking about on
Uh,
radio today?
Currently, we're talking about environmental justice and climate change, and you know how, as individuals, can we start changing what's happening in the world?
Yeah. Wow, this is a conversation I'd like to hear.
We're currently live. Is it on the follow page or Metro
on-
Record?
It's on the Metro Record page.
On Metro Record TV, we're currently live.
Wow.
TV?
You can't get shy now. You can't get shy now.
You're talking all earlier. You're good now.
So we have 150 species.
Our loss per day.
Per day.
Now, is that any different? I mean, how many different species of animal life, plant life?
Yeah, that's
insect
what I was
life
gonna
that
say,
we
like,
lost over-
He's
I
been-
mean,
What's the size
there's
of
been
Earth?
Earth is over a
millions.
million years old.
Mhm.
You know how many
Like
times we've dealt with climate change?
how many of these are single cells species?
Alex, I can't look that up. I mean, that's a
I mean, but like that's
So,
what it's
I
like.
guess the thing is, what makes this different? So as we talk about bees, why did you bring it up? What makes bees different than any other endangered species?
Oh, they sorry, my bad.
You say it.
they're
Bring pollen to every flower
Okay, so
and make honey.
okay.
they're crucial for our survival as like people who benefit off of their work.
Give me an example. She said
Uh,
make honey, so we lose out on honey.
Almost all our crops are pollinated by bees or another
we go.
pollinator.
That's what people need to hear.
But it's not so our crops are gone, and then we can't feed our livestock. So we're basically left without food if
So-
bees die.
If the bees die,
We die.
what happens to us?
We'll die of a
Okay.
slow, painful, hungry death.
So we're all interconnected.
Hmm
Okay, we're part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, I was gonna say we
Sometimes
the ecosystem.
It's the
If
food
you say it,
chain.
then get it out. Just say it.
Ecosystem. We the ecosystem.
yeah.
So what's really at risk of peril? I mean, what's really, is it the bees or just the ecosystem in general?
The whole
ecosystem is-
ecosystem.
All
Think
of
about, we
us.
have a giant island of plastic floating around the Atlantic Ocean.
That's terrible for the ecosystem.
Huge, about the size of Texas. You know how big Texas is?
Texas is like the size of Europe almost comparatively. Like, yeah.
This
Texas
is, I know
pretty
you
big.
didn't know this, Elizabeth. So this is what we've been talking about this whole time. There's no land there. That's all built up trash that's just been sitting there for years and years and years.
Have people try to take it out? Or
There's
no?
been attempts, but
Yeah.
it's so much. Like the scale is so huge.
You can see it from space.
Think about trying to clear the size of Texas.
You know, then what's amazing, this is the beautiful thing about the planet Earth. I mean, first of all, when you think about the fact that we're just a spinning ball, it's a spinning ball in the universe, and it's just crazy. But within this spinning ball, tell me why. Oh, I mean, why does all this trash, why does it amass right there in that location?
Because the ocean currents.
It brings all
Of
the
that.
trash, it just filters it onto that one location. I mean, I don't know about you guys, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's Mother
there's-
Nature at work.
There's
Like,
there's
it-
other
oh,
things
that's what it
following
does.
those currents, and there's animals within
I
those
get that.
currents.
No, I get that.
No, I don't get what you're
But
saying.
when
Like
you
it's
think about the
amazing.
Earth, how
Like,
the Earth has its own natural
Mhm.
filtering system. You know, it's kind of like at least you can identify it if they did find a way to,
clear this.
clear it, take it, send it out to space. Send it
That's
to-
what I
to the sun.
like. That's what I'm saying.
That's-
Like,
to the
I-
sun. It just
Okay, can we pause for a second? I always thought that's what we should do with our trash is just
Actually,
send it to the sun.
even better yet, there's this idea of transporting like what's it called? Material. Yeah, material. That's the word I was looking for. So there's this theoretical way of transporting material like across planets, like like throughout the solar system. Basically, it's using the spinning force, the centrifugal force of the planet that it's on to launch things.
wow.
I forgot what it's called. I watched in a video, but yeah. But basically I mean, if we just set up something on the moon like that or on Earth itself, we could just launch things at the sun. We could just launch our trash at the sun,
Right to the
realistically.
sun.
Yeah.
If you just send it out to space, it's gonna land somewhere
Mhm.
eventually. But if you send it to the sun,
It's just gonna
Mhm.
burn up.
nothing. It just by the time,
Will help the sun.
That's smart. Who thought of that?
yeah, fuel the sun.
Yeah.
It's like 600 times
But
bigger
you
than
see,
all
but like,
planets
but
combined.
then you could say like this is the issue. The issue is getting all of like, because like the biggest rocket ever theoretically like thought up of can only carry 100 tons, and like that rocket alone like is
So instead of spending trillions of dollars on defense, why not defend the Earth and spend trillions of dollars sending up 5 million rockets to the sun?
I mean,
Right,
what's
'cause
crazy?
it's not only the U.S. It's like everywhere.
It's everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, but the U.S. does it in like imperialistic countries do it way more than let's say India, because India is
What country produces the most trash and waste?
I think United
the
States.
United States, I would guess,
Right. Which is why I know it's not just the United States. I get that.
but we're number one at
We
it.
can definitely role model for the rest of
Mhm.
the world as opposed to role modeling how powerful we are. Let's show how responsible we can be.
Mhm. One of the I don't know if you guys know this, but it just ended during COVID. But there was a large period of time where the U.S. would send their recyclable trash to China,
Mhm.
and we were just like, okay, so now it's your problem, and because China has like lower worker pay wages, like they would just pay people to pick through the trash and sort it out and like actually recycle it. But since that happened, like most of your recyclables go somewhere and sit at a place and like don't actually get
Or
recycled.
like you did in Hartford, when you drive down the highway, you see a big green mound of trash underneath the dirt. It's just trash.
I'm trying to. Oh,
I took a field trip to the recycling plant in West Springfield.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. That place, they seem like they do good.
I used to live downtown Springfield.
Yeah, it smells bad.
I used to live on Park Street Lofts. There were times it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was strong.
you know they're looking for a second landfill location for Springfield.
Isn't Bundy's Island one of them, right?
Bondi's Island is one, yeah.
Every time I pass through there. Oh
That's
my.
what we were just talking about. Yeah.
I'm kind of lost. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Good. Oh man.
See, Senor.
Is 11:47, so we have about 5 more minutes.
Until it's on TV.
No, it's live right now. Say hi.
So
This is what I was talking
one
about.
of the
Oh, actually, no, 450 tons. Or
But I have a
550.
question. Wouldn't
That's a lot.
just
Actually,
sending
never
a
mind.
rocket ship up into like space, wouldn't it cause more pollution or no?
so good.
Well,
But she's saying like the rocket emissions.
Yeah.
So
Like the
as you're
rocket-
burning
So-
the rocket fuel into the sky,
Every
what's the
I already-
Go ahead.
I already thought of this. So think about it. So if we use less coal and gas plants, right, we wouldn't have to worry about that CO2 emission because we already have a green source of energy. So then that's why I said like nuclear power plants, because they can they emit so much power for using so little fuel, and like it's close to almost zero emissions. Like it does have some emissions, and it's really the byproduct, just the nuclear waste. That's it. But my point is like there would be like no like coal plants producing that much CO2. So like this will have little effect. Like the earth will be able to, recycle that CO2 like it's not like it usually does. Because earth does, recycle CO2 and does turn it back into oxygen through like the trees. But even the oceans do that too.
What is that thin layer of pollution called? It's
The
like
greenhouse
out-
effect.
Yeah, it's the greenhouse effect. You guys know anything about that?
are you talking about like how the ozone layer
It's like
burning up?
covered.
Actually, a big thing about the ozone layer was that's one of those other things like the straw, where like it was private companies that came out and was like, look at the ozone layer, it's burning up. Everyone flocked to go pay attention to the ozone layer. And then what we found out is it's just doing, like Daryl said, like climate change is a natural process that happens in Earth. And one of the things is the ozone layer just does that. Like it sometimes rips and like pulls back together. So everyone paid attention to the ozone layer and didn't pay attention to the companies mining for oil, still fracking oil, and all the other stuff.
On top of that, wasn't there like a huge ban of aerosol sprays?
Mhm.
Like you
A giant ban on
like
aerosol
hair sprays and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like you had like people stop using them because like it tore holes. And then on top of that, like the greenhouse effect, and that's kind of like why we're here in the first place, and like this whole idea of global warming and climate change, because you know what the greenhouse effect is, right? Basically, yeah. And greenhouses are pretty cool. I'm getting a little one. I'm pretty excited about it, but yeah, there it is. The light doesn't want to go out; it stays in. But yeah, that's my like counter to the rocket thing, because I saw that coming. I did see, because this entire time I was thinking like, why don't we just launch at the sun? And then I thought somebody was going to say that, and wow, I'm
You're so
impressed.
smart,
I know,
Alex,
right?
buddy.
I'm impressed with myself.
You
Hey
should
world,
be.
my name is Alex. All right. Closing summaries. Let's get it.
Oh, for a second I thought you were going to get on the topic of clothing. I was about to say that's a whole polluter in itself too. But
Clothes? You
Yeah.
think so?
Think about like
Mhm.
how many times you throw out like a piece of clothing you never wear
Well,
again.
In my household in Dominican Republic, we have like boxes and we send the clothes. We don't we like have boxes.
I'm sorry, say boxes.
Boxes? What's wrong with boxes? People say that I
Boxes?
say sandwich weird too.
Boxes?
Say boxes.
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 Boxes. Guys,
I'm
please.
sorry, I'm trying to stay focused.
Okay.
Boxes.
Anyways, the boxes. Anyways, so we have it, and then we send the clothes that we don't use, and we send it to Dominican Republic. I don't know if anybody heard that, but we send them to Dominican Republic and give them to people in need. That's what we do.
In boxes.
They're also- Yeah, boxes.
Boxes.
I mean, yeah, I send like my family does the same thing, but there's still things we throw out at the end of the day.
Big yellow dumpsters, say clothes.
Yeah, those things I've seen those too.
I
But
don't
like
know where they send them.
reuse, we can reuse clothes. Like you can make your
We
own
use a lot
clothes,
of
and then
things.
on top of that, like you can like make rags out of clothes. But we have to close this anyways. So
Yeah.
Tyler, you do it. I don't want to do
All
it.
right, people. I hope while hearing us, you had some good thoughts and you were able to think about the environmental situation that we're currently in. I hope you join us again at the Paulo podcast team. Again, I'm Tyler.
I'm
This is
Alex.
Elizabeth is saying what's up with her hands. Yeah, have a wonderful day, guys.